Chapter 4. King Solomon was off to a good start ruling Israel. These were the leaders in his government: Azariah, son of Zadok the priest; Elihoreph and Ahijah, sons of Shisha, secretaries; Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, historian; Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, commander of the army; Zadok and Abiathar, priests; Azariah, son of Nathan, in charge of the regional managers; Zabud, son of Nathan, priest and friend to the king; Ahishar, manager of the palace; Adoniram, son of Abda, manager of the slave labor. Solomon had 12 regional managers distributed throughout Israel. They were responsible for supplying provisions for the king and his administration. Each was in charge of bringing supplies for 1 month of the year. These are the names: Ben-Hur in the Ephraim hills, Ben-Deker in Makez, Shealbim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon Beth-Hanan; Ben-Hesed in Aruboth. This included Soko and all of Hefer; Ben-Abinadab in Naphath Dor. He was married to Solomon's daughter, Taphath; Baana, son of Ahilud, in Taanach and Megiddo, all of Beth-Shan, next to Zarethan, below Jezreel, and from Beth-Shan to Abel-Meholah, over to Jokmeam; Ben-Geber in Ramoth Gilead. This included the villages of Jair, son of Manasseh, in Gilead, and the region of Argob in Bashan, with its 60 large walled cities with bronze-studded gates; Ahinadab, son of Iddo, in Mahanaim; Ahimaaz in Naphtali. He was married to Solomon's daughter, Basemath; Baana, son of Hushai, in Asher and Aloth; Jehoshaphat, son of Peruah, in Issachar; Shimei, son of Elah, in Benjamin; Geber, son of Uri, in Gilead. This was the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and also of Og, king of Bashan. He managed the whole district by himself. Solomon's prosperity. Judah and Israel were densely populated, like sand on an ocean beach. All their needs were met. They ate and drank and were happy. Solomon was sovereign over all the kingdoms from the river Euphrates in the east to the country of the Philistines in the west, all the way to the border of Egypt. They brought tribute and were vassals of Solomon all his life. 1 day's food supply for Solomon's household was 185 bushels of fine flour, 375 bushels of meal, 10 grain-fed cattle, 20 range cattle, 100 sheep, and miscellaneous deer, gazelles, roebucks, and choice fowl. Solomon was sovereign over everything, countries and kings west of the river Euphrates from Tifsa to Gaza. Peace reigned everywhere. Throughout Solomon's life, everyone in Israel and Judah lived safe and sound, all of them from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, content with what they had. Solomon had 40,000 stalls for chariot horses and 12,000 horsemen. The district managers, each according to his assigned month, delivered food supplies for King Solomon and all who sat at the king's table. There was always plenty. They also brought to the designated place their assigned quota of barley and straw for the horses. God gave Solomon wisdom, the deepest of understanding and the largest of hearts. There was nothing beyond him, nothing he couldn't handle. Solomon's wisdom outclassed the vaunted wisdom of wise men of the East, outshone the famous wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than anyone, wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, wiser than Heman, wiser than Calcol and Darda, the sons of Mahal. He became famous among all the surrounding nations. He created 3,000 proverbs. His songs added up to 1,005. He knew all about plants, from the huge cedar that grows in Lebanon to the tiny hyssop that grows in the cracks of a wall. He understood everything about animals and birds, reptiles and fish. Sent by kings from all over the earth who had heard of his reputation, people came from far and near to listen to the wisdom of Solomon. Chapter 5. International Fame. Hiram, king of Tyre, sent ambassadors to Solomon when he heard that he had been crowned king in David's place. Hiram had loved David his whole life. Solomon responded, saying, You know that David, my father, was not able to build a temple in honor of God because of the wars he had to fight on all sides, until God finally put them down. But now, God has provided peace all around. No one against us, nothing at odds with us. Now, here's what I want to do. Build a temple in honor of God, my God, following the promise that God gave to David, my father, namely, your son, whom I will provide to succeed you as king. He will build a house in my honor. And here's how you can help. Give orders for cedars to be cut from the Lebanon forest. My loggers will work alongside yours, and I'll pay your men whatever wage you set. We both know that there is no one like you Sidonians for cutting timber. When Hiram got Solomon's message, he was delighted, exclaiming, "Blessed be God for giving David such a wise son to rule this flourishing people." Then he sent this message to Solomon. "I received your request for the cedars and cypresses. It's as good as done. Your wish is my command. My lumberjacks will haul the timbers from the Lebanon forest to the sea, assemble them into log rafts, float them to the place you said, then have them disassembled for you to haul away. All I want from you is that you feed my crew." In this way, Hiram supplied all the cedar and cypress timber that Solomon wanted. In his turn, Solomon gave Hiram 125,000 bushels of wheat and 115,000 gallons of virgin olive oil. He did this every year, and God, for his part, gave Solomon wisdom, just as he had promised. The healthy peace between Hiram and Solomon was formalized by a treaty. The temple work begins. King Solomon raised a workforce of 30,000 men from all over Israel. He sent them in shifts of 10,000 each month to the Lebanon forest. They would work a month in Lebanon and then be at home 2 months. Adoniram was in charge of the work crew. Solomon also had 70,000 unskilled workers and another 80,000 stone cutters up in the hills, plus 3,300 foremen, managing the project and supervising the work crews. Following the king's orders, they quarried huge blocks of the best stone, dressed stone for the foundation of the temple. Solomon and Hiram's construction workers, assisted by the men of G.O.D, cut and prepared the timber and stone for building the temple. Chapter 6. 480 years after the Israelites came out of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's rule over Israel, in the month of Ziv, the 2nd month, Solomon started building the temple of God. The temple that King Solomon built to God was 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 45 feet high. There was a porch across the 30-foot width of the temple that extended out 15 feet. Within the temple, he made narrow, deep-silled windows. Against the outside walls, he built a supporting structure in which there were smaller rooms. The lower floor was 7.5 feet wide, the middle floor 9 feet, and the third floor 10.5 feet. He had projected ledges built into the outside temple walls to support the buttressing beams. The stone blocks for the building of the temple were all dressed at the quarry so that the building site itself was reverently quiet. No noise from hammers and chisels and other iron tools. The entrance to the ground floor was at the south end of the temple. Stairs led to the 2nd floor and then to the 3rd. Solomon built and completed the temple, finishing it off with roof beams and planks of cedar. The supporting structure along the outside walls was attached to the temple with cedar beams, and the rooms in it were 7.5 feet tall. The word of God came to Solomon, saying, "About this temple you are building, what's important is that you live the way I've set out for you and do what I tell you, following my instructions carefully and obediently. Then I'll complete in you the promise I made to David, your father. I'll personally take up my residence among the Israelites. I won't desert my people Israel." Solomon built and completed the temple. He paneled the interior walls from floor to ceiling with cedar planks. For flooring, he used cypress. The 30 feet at the rear of the temple he made into an inner sanctuary, cedar planks from floor to ceiling. The Holy of Holies. The main sanctuary area in front was 60 feet long. The entire interior of the temple was cedar, with carvings of fruits and flowers. All cedar, none of the stone was exposed. The inner sanctuary within the temple was for housing the chest of the covenant of God. This inner sanctuary was a cube, 30 feet each way, all plated with gold. The altar of cedar was also gold-plated. Everywhere you looked, there was pure gold. Gold chains strung in front of the gold-plated inner sanctuary. Gold everywhere, walls, ceiling, floor, and altar. Dazzling. Then he made 2 cherubim, gigantic angel-like figures from olive wood. Each was 15 feet tall. The outstretched wings of the cherubim, they were identical in size and shape, measured another 15 feet. He placed the 2 cherubim, their wings spread, in the inner sanctuary. The combined wing spread stretched the width of the room. The wing of one cherub touched one wall, the wing of the other wall, and the wings touched in the middle. The cherubim were gold-plated. He then carved engravings of cherubim, palm trees, and flower blossoms on all the walls of both the inner and the main sanctuary. And all the floors of both inner and outer rooms were gold-plated. He constructed doors of olive wood for the entrance to the inner sanctuary. The lintel and doorposts were 5-sided. The doors were also carved with cherubim, palm trees, and flowers, and then covered with gold leaf. Similarly, he built the entrance to the main sanctuary using olive wood for the doorposts, but these doorposts were 4-sided. The doors were of cypress, split into 2 panels, each panel swinging separately. These also were carved with cherubim, palm trees, and flowers, and plated with finely hammered gold leaf. He built the inner court with 3 courses of dressed stones, topped with a course of planed cedar timbers. The foundation for God's temple was laid in the 4th year in the month of Ziv. It was completed in the 11th year in the month of B.I.B.L.E, the 8th month, down to the last detail, just as planned. It took Solomon 7 years to build it. Chapter 7. It took Solomon another 13 years to finish building his own palace complex. He built the palace of the forest of Lebanon, 150 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. There were 4 rows of cedar columns supporting 45 cedar beams, 15 in each row, and then roofed with cedar. Windows in groupings of 3 were set high in the walls on either side. All the doors were rectangular and arranged symmetrically. He built a colonnaded courtyard, 75 feet long and 45 wide. It had a roofed porch at the front with ample eaves. He built a courtroom, the Hall of Justice, where he would decide judicial matters, and paneled it with cedar. He built his personal residence behind the hall on a similar plan. Solomon also built another one just like it for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. No expense was spared. Everything here, inside and out, from foundation to roof, was constructed using high-quality stone, accurately cut and shaped and polished. The foundation stones were huge, ranging in size from 12 to 15 feet, and of the very best quality. The finest stone was used above the foundation, shaped to size and trimmed with cedar. The courtyard was enclosed with a wall made of 3 layers of stone and topped with cedar timbers, just like the one in the porch of the temple of God. King Solomon sent to Tyre and asked Hiram, not the king, another Hiram, to come. Hiram's mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali. His father was a Tyrian and a master worker in bronze. Hiram was a real artist. He could do anything with bronze. He came to King Solomon and did all the bronze work. First, he cast 2 pillars in bronze, each 27 feet tall and 18 feet in circumference. He then cast 2 capitals in bronze to set on the pillars. Each capital was 7.5 feet high and flared at the top in the shape of a lily. Each capital was dressed with an elaborate filigree of 7 braided chains and a double row of 200 pomegranates, setting the pillars off magnificently. He set the pillars up in the entrance porch to the temple. The pillar to the south he named Security, Jachin, and the pillar to the south, Stability, Boaz. The capitals were in the shape of lilies. When the pillars were finished, Hiram's next project was to make the sea, an immense round basin of cast metal, 15 feet in diameter, 7.5 feet tall, and 45 feet in circumference. Just under the rim, there were 2 bands of decorative gourds, 10 gourds to each 1.5 feet. The gourds were cast in one piece with the sea. The sea was set on 12 bulls, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. The bulls faced outward, supporting the sea on their hindquarters. The sea was 3 inches thick and flared at the rim like a cup, or like a lily. It held about 11,500 gallons. Hiram also made 10 washstands of bronze. Each was 6 feet square and 4.5 feet tall. They were made like this. Panels were fastened to the uprights. Lions, bulls, and cherubim were represented on the panels and uprights. Beveled wreathwork bordered the lions and bulls above and below. Each stand was mounted on 4 bronze wheels with bronze axles. The uprights were cast with decorative relief work. Each stand held a basin on a circular engraved support, 1.5 feet deep, set on a pedestal 2.25 feet square. The washstand itself was square. The axles were attached under the stand and the wheels fixed to them. The wheels were 27 inches in diameter. They were designed like chariot wheels. Everything, axles, rims, spokes, and hubs, was of cast metal. There was a handle at the 4 corners of each washstand. The handles cast in one piece with the stand. At the top of the washstand, there was a ring about 9 inches deep. The uprights and handles were cast with the stand. Everything and every available surface was engraved with cherubim, lions, and palm trees, bordered by arabesques. The washstands were identical, all cast in the same mold. He also made 10 bronze wash basins, each 6 feet in diameter with a capacity of 230 gallons, 1 basin for each of the 10 washstands. He arranged 5 stands on the south side of the temple and 5 on the north. The sea was placed at the southeast corner of the temple. Hiram then fashioned the various utensils, buckets and shovels and bowls. Hiram completed all the work he set out to do for King Solomon on the temple of God. 2 pillars, 2 capitals on top of the pillars, 2 decorative filigrees for the capitals, 400 pomegranates for the 2 filigrees, a double row of pomegranates for each filigree, 10 washstands each with its wash basin, 1 sea, 12 bowls under the sea, miscellaneous buckets, shovels, and bowls. All these artifacts that Hiram made for King Solomon for the temple of God were of burnished bronze. He cast them in clay in a foundry on the Jordan plain between Succoth and Zarethan. These artifacts were never weighed. There were far too many. Nobody has any idea how much bronze was used. Solomon was also responsible for all the furniture and accessories in the temple of God. The gold altar, the gold table that held the bread of the presence, the pure gold candelabras, 5 to the right and 5 to the left in front of the inner sanctuary, the gold flowers, lamps, and tongs, the pure gold dishes, wick trimmers, sprinkling bowls, ladles, and censers, the gold sockets for the doors of the inner sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, used also for the doors of the main sanctuary. That completed all the work King Solomon did on the temple of God. He then brought in the items consecrated by his father David, the silver and the gold and the artifacts. He placed them all in the treasury of God's temple.